So welcome everybody to the February Tech Talk, and this month we have Charles Clark from BOMA Marketing. And if you haven't had a look at BOMA before, they've got some really great resources and articles and information, and obviously a whole platform as well, but they've got a lot of really good stuff on their website and focus on our industry. So that is why we love talking to BOMA, because they know a lot about accountants and bookkeepers and the particular marketing issues that we face. Welcome, Charles. And I'll hand over to Charles, who's going to give us a few industry insights and some tips and tricks and a little overview of the BOMA platform as well. Just a reminder, or for anyone who hasn't been here before to the Tech Talks, you are welcome to put questions or comments in the chat box. You can also use the Q&A, and we will answer questions on the fly if we can. And then there'll also be time at the end for anything we haven't got to or any other questions you think of at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Charles.
Thanks, Jo, and thanks everyone for having me on today. I'll just share my screen, and Jo, will you tell me when that's come up?
Yep, that's great.
Cool. So as Jo said, hopefully some of the ideas I share with you today will be useful. You may have heard of some, maybe some might be new to you, but hopefully, you know, something that you can take back and implement in your own business. We do have a fair amount to get through today. That's my fault. But I was sort of doing this thinking, oh, you know, how much can I squeeze in? So Jo, should we save questions for the end, or will you sort of call them out as we go along? I'm happy with either.
If there's something comes up that's quite relevant, you know, as you're talking, I'll try and interrupt you. But you know, if we don't get to it, that's fine too. We'll do it at the end. So, you know, but a bit of both is good if we can.
Great.
Yep.
Cool. So look, as Jo said, we did actually have a bit of insight I wanted to share with you. And this was out of a project we did last year, and we surveyed several hundred accountants and bookkeepers, and they weren't just our clients, they were a whole range of people. And it was around the challenges of marketing. And I'm including it in this session today because I thought it's useful to give you guys some background and context, because I know it can sort of feel like, you know, everyone else is doing it better, or you don't know anyone else who's in fact doing it, but sort of where does everyone sit? You know, are people marketing themselves? And if so, how do they feel about it, and how are they experiencing it? So two key ones I wanted to share with you today. And the first was the main question we asked, which was, you know, what are your marketing challenges? And so we got a massive amount of information back. And the best way to sort of show it was to collate it and condense it into a word cloud. And so you can see here, some pretty common themes came up. So content, so time to write content, or knowing what to write, or how to create engaging content, or what content should I be writing for which clients or which prospects. Time was another huge one. You know, from the bat, do I have time to do marketing? Not only marketing, but social. Or if I don't do any marketing, how do I, you know, find some time to learn about it? And if I am doing it, how do I find the time to be active and sort of continue doing it, or sort of take it to the next level? Getting leads and supporting clients was another key one. So how should I be targeting leads if I'm looking for new leads and clients? Where should I go to find them? What sort of content should I be creating for them? What sort of content should I be creating for clients that's going to not only engage them, but also support them in their business? And another one, which I thought was, I was sort of quite surprised, which was starting. You know, how do I start and where do I start? So if any of those sort of felt like you may have said, you know, something similar, hopefully we'll have some ideas for you. We also asked them to
Sorry,
rate
Charles. people, if you want to, put a couple of words in the chat box about what your biggest challenges are.
Oh, great idea. Yeah.
Mm.
We also asked them to rate their marketing efforts. And as you can see here, it is a massive spread. So about 36% rated their efforts of 5 and more, which was great to see. However, 25% said they weren't doing any marketing at all, and 24% rated their efforts at less than 3 out of 10. So I thought it was really interesting because we got some comments back, and one person said, you know, we actively post on social media, we have monthly newsletters and events which are getting their highest attendance numbers, and they rated themselves 8 out of 10. Another person who gave themselves a 2 out of 10 ranking said, I'm struggling to come up with ideas. It's a timing issue and a capacity issue. So hopefully some of the ideas today will give you maybe a shortcut or things that you can tick off on your sort of marketing activity, and it will hopefully make the whole process easier, because I know obviously that working and supporting with clients is obviously what you're sort of mainly focused on. Now, I'm sure you've heard the quote, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail, by Benjamin Franklin. And you may even have talked about it to your clients. And this also rings true for marketing. So I'm not saying that you need to spend a long time working out a really complex plan. I'm talking about the basics. So be clear on your goals and what you want to achieve with your marketing. Is it more leads? Is it getting more awareness? Is it business growth? Also be really clear about what your firm's main selling points are. What is your point of difference? It could be the services that you offer. It could be the industries that you specialize in. It might be your team or you. And then also be realistic when you are putting that little plan together of, you know, what will it cost in terms of time and resources to achieve that? Because you do want to make something that is achievable. There's nothing worse than having an unachievable goal. And then when you have got that goal, hold yourself accountable. And by this, I mean, you know, check in every month or every couple of months and just see how you're progressing versus those initial goals that you wrote down maybe on a piece of paper. But the idea with this plan is that it's going to give you a direction of travel for what you do in your marketing throughout the year. And by marketing, I don't just mean marketing to find new clients or sort of new leads. I also mean supporting your current clients and engaging with them and making them feel like they're having a great relationship with you over and above the services that you provide. And with those marketing goals, again, just make sure that they align. So your marketing goals align with your business goals. Obviously, that way you're going to make sure that you're only putting that time and effort into things that are going to be effective. So we're going to start out at the place where almost every single client or prospect who wants to learn about you is going to go, and that's your website. And the research I've seen says it takes 0.3 of a second for them to get a first impression about you. So that's not a lot of time at all. So you have to be really clear and visually appealing with your website. And Alluvia Financial is a client of ours. They're a bookkeeper in Bendigo, and I really like their website. It's visually appealing. It clearly states their mission, their point of difference. You can see here we help you discover your richness. They've got really simple and clear copy and strong imagery, which showcases their team. In this case, they're an all-female organization, and that is, again, one of their points of difference. They also have really clear call to actions. So you can see one here, which is let's start today. And there's more at the top here where you can follow them on social or sign up their newsletter. They also make great use of the lower half of this page. So they've got their awards and accreditations there, and they've also got their clients. And these two things basically build trust and social proof. They can see that they've got all their awards and accreditations, so they must be professional and they must be good at what they do. And then they can see the clients they work with. And in a small town especially, or even a large town, you know, you may have heard of some of these other businesses. And so you're like, oh, well, if Olive Birch is working with them, I happen to know them, you know, they're a good business. So just, it does help. towards sort of building that level of trust, especially if they haven't at this point actually picked up the phone or met you and had a conversation. So your website is, I like to think of it as a virtual shop window, and it's definitely not a static brochure. So do commit a little bit of time to it and keep it updated. So this doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of time on it, but if you're thinking, what can I update? Once you have the basic layout there, you have your the services that you offer, maybe you have 1 or 2 testimonials, your contact page. Well, there's videos you can put on there. There might be new blogs. There's lots of things that you can do just on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, larger things might happen. So you might have a new person joins the team, or you might have new clients that come on. So you want to put their logos on as well. So, website's definitely not set and forget. It doesn't require as much effort as, say, do an email or social, but it's definitely something you need to, keep on top of. One thing I do really like at the bottom of this page is that they have a client testimonial. And this is just a really nice way to, I suppose, add a point of difference to a page. It's visually appealing. You can go in and watch it. And in this case, it's telling the story of one of their clients and how Olivia Financial basically gave their time and their freedom back so they can spend that time doing the things that matter to them. So that's great, because any client can put themselves in their shoes and sort of understand how this might help. And it also links back to sort of what Olivia Financial stands for in terms of what they're trying to achieve for their clients. Now, we talked just before about that testimonial, and they are fantastic. If someone has never heard of your business, the trust factor is not particularly high. And recent Nielsen surveys have shown that the most trusted form of advertising for consumers is a recommendation from a friend. Well, this is great, because testimonials and case studies, you can get them from your clients. And the best thing is that they're almost entirely free. Yes, you will have to do a little bit of work to ask them if they're happy to do it, and you will maybe have to write it up or pay someone to write one up, especially if it's a case study. But it's a minimal cost. And then you can see this is one of Olivia Financial's testimonials, and all they have is an image and a little bit of who they are at the top in yellow, and then the section on the testimonial from their client below. So if you're thinking of how do I get started, I would make a list of your top 5 to 10 clients, the ones you have a great relationship with, they are most satisfied with your services, and then reach out and ask them if they're happy to provide a business testimonial, and be specific. Say, would they recommend you to others? If you want to go longer form, so, a testimonial is maybe 1 to 3 sentences. If you want to go longer form, like a case study, that's great. You can really dive into how you helped them, what their business problem was, the solution that you offered, how you implemented it, and maybe, what the outcome was. If you do have a range of case studies, it's a good idea if they're maybe different. So they might be different sectors. So you might have a retailer, someone in agriculture, a small business, you might have a range of different people, so that when a prospect comes onto your website, they can choose the case study of the business that most reflects theirs. Always remember to request an image, and also do be upfront with your client about how you're going to be sharing this. So is it going to be on your website? Maybe it's across social media as well. And obviously, once you do have it and they've approved it and they're happy with it, share it everywhere. Share it on your website, share it on social, reshare it a couple of months later on social. Put it maybe in put a quote in one of your, if you have any assets. Don't be afraid to use them everywhere. It's obviously great for you, and even for your clients. They often see it as quite nice publicity and awareness from them as well. Oh, I just lost my mouse. Here we go.
And by the way, that's not me. It says, I just happened to see that they're referring to Joe as their lifesaver, but that is not me. It is not my business. So that's sheer
yeah, oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, that's Joe Doyle from Olivia. Yeah. So obviously the idea of, with your website is it's great to have a good website, but you want it to be findable so that when people are going onto the internet, and let's face it, that's pretty much how everyone finds people these days or does the research. They're going to go onto Google and they're going to start searching for either your name directly or specific search terms. So it might be bookkeeper in Melbourne, it might be bookkeeper in Bendigo, it might be Xero bookkeeper. The idea here then is that you want to make sure that your website is going to be attractive to Google. So Google has these little, I suppose we call them little robots or spiders that crawl all over your website. It sounds a bit weird. I don't really understand how it works, but I know that they trawl through the text on your website and they look for your keywords. And so keywords are things like your business name. So in this case, it would be Alluvia Financial. They're also for other things. So like bookkeeping, Xero, it might be the services that you offer, like, bookkeeping compliance or BAS. It may also be your location. All these things, the more they're mentioned across your site, and that might be in your page titles, it might be in your landing pages, it might be in your blogs, that's going to help Google recognize your site as being a site that would be relevant for that particular search, i.e. I've searched online for bookkeeper, Xero bookkeeper in my area. So the more things that you can do in terms of great content on your site, the search engines like Google are going to rank your site as being relevant and credible, and then they're going to push it up onto the Google search pages. And obviously the higher you are up those pages, so like page 1, page 2, the more traffic you're going to get through to your site. And obviously the more traffic to your site, the more chances you have to educate people about your services, tell your story, and hopefully develop them as a lead in the future. Now, one way to get content onto your site so that you have lots of good keywords is around content marketing. And the idea here is that you're producing regular and interesting or entertaining content. And this might be anything from blogs to articles. It could be an ebook. Testimonials are obviously in there as well as case studies and video accounts as well. And then you have it on your website as a starting point. But obviously you can put it further places. You can also publish it across your social media presences. You could offer it to other publications. You could even offer to do guest blogs on a relevant site. So that might be on a local newspaper, or it could be like a local business association. The idea here is that by creating content that talks about you and your services, you can not only educate those clients or those prospects, but you can then draw them back into your site. So once you have created the piece of content, and as I said, a video doesn't have to be with a film crew. It could be just like Joe and I are doing now, or it could just be with your phone camera. The phone cameras these days are incredible. It could be an ebook. So something that you create, and then maybe you design it in Canva, or you get a local designer to sort of make it look pretty with your brand on it. Once you've had that initial investment, usually quite low, it's going to live online forever, and it will keep doing the job for you. It will keep educating, it will keep supporting clients, especially if it's very useful, and keep assisting with your SEO, which obviously, again, driving people to your website. So the idea in terms of like how does it actually work? Like, how do I think about what I should be creating? I think a good place to start is, who are my end readers going to be? And there might be several of them. There might be different niches that you want to create content for. And what's going to appeal to them? What is going to be useful? What is going to help them in their business? Educate them about something that is going to be relevant and helpful. So we've talked about doing some blogs. Doing a how-to guide or a useful checklist is great. So these are really easy to create, and I would bet that you probably know off the bat 5 to 10 how-tos or useful checklists that you could probably sketch out, or Joe may have sort of given them to you in the past. That is common knowledge to you, but for clients or prospective clients, actually this is gold and super, super useful. That ebook that I mentioned, so you could have it on your site. You could always gate it, so you could have it behind a form. And the only way for someone to access that is that they give you their email. So this is great because it allows you to build your email database, which is really nice. So the exchange is valuable content for them. In return, you get their email, and then in the future, you can contact them via email. You might even want to do interviews. So this might be, you've interviewed a client, or you've interviewed one of your colleagues, or you've interviewed someone within a particular sector. Again, all great content is going to be useful, and you can share it across all of these across all these channels. I know Q&As are becoming a lot more popular. So a lot of accountants and bookkeepers, especially when COVID first hit, found that, they were unable to do one-to-one sort of sessions or calls anymore. So they started to turn to do sort of one-to-many. So it might be a webinar or sort of a session like this, or it might be something like a Q&A. So you could run it every week and sort of invite your clients, your leads, and just say, hey, look, we're going to sort of get on there and I'll answer any questions you have about bookkeeping. Now, obviously, this might be 30 minutes of your time, but it is a lot more efficient than having 10 or 15 30-minute conversations with a range of clients. They can obviously ask questions as they feel comfortable and follow up with you if there's any more specific questions that they want to do. I suppose the idea with content is, again, it's easy to create. Luckily, with laptops and phones and video tools like Zoom and Loom, we can create so much content that we didn't used to even sort of 10, 15 years ago. You know the industry best, you know what's going to be relevant to your audience. So if you do get the chance to create it, then it can be a really great thing and a really great strategy for you to use. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to create all the content yourself. So we do have a range of content in BOMA, and this is just a snapshot of our library. We've got, on average, about 300 articles at any one time, and they're everything from client reminders, so it might be BAS time or in a financial year. There might be, as you say, a new payroll tax in New South Wales, or there might be a COVID update. The idea is that you can go into BOMA and you can actually use these on your social channels. You can send them via email, or you can even have them on your website as a blog. The nice thing is that you can customize them all. So if you want to add your own tone of voice, or you want to add a little bit more, or take something away and slightly change it up, it's all customizable, nothing is locked. So that might be one thing to also think about when it comes to sort of creating content, is that you don't have to rely just on doing it yourself. There are, services or tools like BOMA that you can actually get this yourself. So when you do have all that content, where do we want to share it? And I talked a little bit about your email and blog, but one of the most powerful places to be sharing it is on social media. And we really are in the age of social media. And if your business doesn't have a presence, I'd really recommend getting one. So by presence, I suppose I mean a business page. So that could be on Facebook, it could be on LinkedIn. You might even have a Twitter account or an Instagram account. If you're not sure where to get started, or if you're just thinking you only have the time or the capacity to sort of do one or two platforms, then I would choose the one or two that you're most familiar with. And for a lot of people, this is Facebook and LinkedIn. Everyone has those profiles, so it's probably one that you're more comfortable starting on, and a good place to dip your toe into the water. Now, if you do already have pages, again, a little bit like your website, they're not just set and forget. Make sure that your imagery, your logo, your details are all correct. You can obviously show a lot of stuff on these pages. So you can show your opening hours, your address, you can have messages so that people can sort of get in contact with you. They're a really great sort of secondary website in a way, and that would be remiss not to make sure that you're on there, especially because if you think of the average age of your clients, over time, we're going to get more and more into people who have grown up as digital natives. So I think Facebook came in around 2008. So that's 14 years ago. So if you think if you're sort of someone in business and you're in your sort of even your sort of mid to late 40s, you're probably very, very familiar with Facebook. But imagine what the younger generations are thinking. For them, social is as normal as a website. And so if you're not on there, it's maybe a missed opportunity. Now, in terms of posting, and I know this can be a little bit of a, maybe people get a bit worried about, how often to post and what should I post. And I've actually just got a little content calendar, which if I can just share it with you, I'll just share it with you now into the chat. And so this is actually just a content planning calendar. Feel free to take it and use it. And that basically might help you plan out what you're going to speak about and maybe how often you might like to do it. So in terms of what to speak about, you might want to sort of think about a couple of themes that you could loosely base most of your posts around. So this might be anything from showcasing your team culture, that might be the services that you offer, that might be sharing successes with your clients. Once you've got those 2 or 3 or 4 themes, and if you're sort of stuck for something to post, you can say, oh, what were my themes? That's right. I haven't shared anything about successful clients recently on my team culture. I'll go and post about that. Whatever you do start posting with, is it one a day? Is it one a week? Consistency is probably more important than the amount that you post. So you'll know what is doable for you. And again, as I said, it might be once, it might be many times a week. Just as long as you're consistent and you and all your team can sort of keep up that over time, that's the main thing. Don't forget to let your team, if you have a team, know about it. Don't forget to let your clients know you're on social, and your friends and your family. If ask them to follow you, you ask them to like and comment on your posts. That sort of engagement is going to help your post gain more momentum. And the algorithms behind Facebook and Google and Instagram, etc., the more engagement that your posts get, even if it's just from your friends and family and yourself, the more engagement it gets, they will basically raise it up and it will become more visible to other people who you'd like it to see. Now, I suppose some social tips here. So one thing is maybe get involved, and this might mean that you follow some of your clients. You might follow companies like Xero or obviously Joe. You might follow some hashtags. So you might follow hashtag bookkeeping or hashtag Xero. Have a look at the conversations out there and get involved if you feel comfortable. Even if you're not necessarily commenting on them, you can like them, you can share them. Probably it's great because that will keep you up to date with maybe what's going on in your industry, your clients' industries, but also you can share it. You can share things with your clients or your followers that would be relevant to them as well. So, once you are kind of getting involved, and if you sort of spend enough time, and I don't sort of mean sharing 50 things a week, but if you sort of pick a few things that you'd really like to comment on regularly or share, and again, you might sort of choose certain companies that you follow or certain topics that you'd like to share. If you sort of do a regular sort of, like once or twice a week or a couple of times a month, and you start sharing that content, over time, people begin to recognize that you talk a lot about particular subjects, and they're gonna follow you and they're gonna watch you, and they will start to see you as really knowing a lot about a particular topic. So I know that when people talk about thought leadership, everyone sort of cringes and says, God, I don't want to be a thought leader. It's not necessarily saying that you have to sort of be like a celebrity or anything like that, but you can be a local expert in things that you know about to your local community, and they will view you as that thought leader. If you have the capacity to do a couple of minutes a day, that would be amazing. Again, it doesn't have to be that you're posting every day, but you're just spending a few minutes keeping up to date with what's going on, seeing what people are posting about. That would be great. If you don't have the time and you want to start scheduling posts in advance, that's a really useful trick too. So with BOMA, Obviously, you can schedule a post in advance, so you might want to do this once a week or a couple of times a month. Once it's done, you can sort of set it and forget. And unless something big turned up like budget, you would know that you wouldn't necessarily have to look at it again for a couple of days. There's lots and lots of things you can share on social. So anything from reminding and supporting clients with key compliance dates, like it's GST or BAS times. There might be news that directly affects them in their industry. So it might be changes to their industry, or it might be changes to the general accounting and bookkeeping industry that are going to affect them. You might be going to an event, or you might have an event that you want to talk about. Again, that doesn't necessarily have to be related to bookkeeping. It could be, an event in your town, a small business event, banking event, an agricultural event. Again, something that you realistically would have an opinion on, and you can comment on it, even if it's just to say, I went along, it was fantastic meeting so many people. Wasn't that speaker great? I really felt that they illuminated us on a particular subject. You can also talk about your client's brand. So if they have a success, if they achieve something, feel free to like and comment or share directly what they're doing. Again, that gives them exposure, and also just subtly shows to them that you're paying attention, that you really value the relationship, and you're more than just sort of stuck in the background doing the numbers. Obviously, don't forget when you achieve something. So if your firm or someone within your firm has an achievement, and this might be that they have passed a paper, or they've got new accreditation, or you have taken someone on, or you've had a big win. Great, that's fantastic. Tell people about it. There's no point in doing these things and then sort of being a shrinking violet and then not having anyone know, because obviously, these achievements will go some way to, people want to congratulate you. People will also want to learn more about those achievements or those accreditations that you have. So email. So email has been around for a shockingly long time. And I actually looked at this the other day, and it's been around for 40 years, if you can believe it. And a lot of people like to think that email's dead and it's on the way out, but actually it's the main tool that we all use to communicate. And this is great in some ways, but also means that we get lots and lots of emails. And I can talk about sort of how we maybe make sure that we get that our emails get opened in a minute. But sort of coming back to my point about it being the main communication tool, is that people expect it. They're very happy to receive emails from businesses. And when it comes to your clients, you have their email address. So, when it comes to supporting them, you don't always have to be sending them things related to sort of exactly their account. You can be sending them information or an ebook or a video that is just useful for them to know. There's an oft-quoted stat that for every $1 you invest in email marketing, you get $44 back. So not necessarily that you sort of have to go out and spend a lot of money on email marketing, but it is definitely a worthwhile investment if you take the time to do it. And I suppose when we say that sort of that $1, that would be the cost of the platform, maybe the cost of the content that you sort of created, your time, things like that. Now, the nice thing also about email is because it's, you have their email address, it's very personal. And so whether they're your client or maybe they're a prospect, so we talked earlier about having maybe a lead magnet on your website where they download a video or an ebook or a piece of research, and then reply, they give you their email. So now that you've got the email, you can tailor the emails that you send to them. And this is actually really, really critical, because when we do know that everyone gets so many emails a day, they're only going to open the most important. It's really, really critical that your email is really relevant to them. So firstly, make it worth their while and think about the content that's in there. How is it going to assist them in their day and in their business? So make it relevant. Now, the reason that you can make it relevant is that when you have your email database, and it might be 100 people, it might be 10 people, they're all going to be slightly different, and you can put them into different buckets. So there might be buckets for your clients, and another one for leads. And of your clients or your leads, you might have some which are specific types of businesses or industries. So you can put, say, your agricultural clients or your retail clients in a particular bucket, and then you send them emails that are going to be relevant to them. The idea then is that they know if you send them an email, it's going to be relevant, so it's going to be worth opening. Now, the other thing you need to do is also, and this is a bit of a tactic that we all know, news sites like the Daily Mail and newspapers use, which is they make their subject lines or their headlines very engaging, and we call it clickable. And so think about, what your subject line is, and if you're doing like a newsletter, don't call it newsletter. Call it like, here is our latest update on the goings on over summer, or we've got something important to share with our clients. Something that's going to make them be like, oh, I am pretty busy, but this sounds important, or this sounds really engaging. I'm going to open it. So the point of having these highly relevant and targeted emails is that over time, it's going to keep them engaged. They're not going to unsubscribe. It's going to build trust and loyalty, even if they're not a client, they're just a prospect. And then from that, you can have those deeper conversations, i.e. with a client about maybe a service that they want to talk to you about, or with a prospect about doing business with you or starting to do business with you. Now, we aren't limited, thank God, to only reading emails. And we all know, and I myself included, watch a lot of video every week. They say that it's about an average of 16 hours a week watching online videos. I'm not sure. I feel like it might be more, especially with TikTok and Instagram and all those other ones. But the main thing here is that 84% of people watching videos will buy a product or a service after watching a video. And 68% say they are very happy or most prefer to learn about a new product or a service by watching a short video. So it's a really handy way for you to go out and explain to someone who's never heard about you or doesn't understand maybe a service that you can offer, how it works and how it might benefit them. The nice thing, as I said before, and so you see it on this photo, is that you can do it with minimal equipment. You'll have your cell phone right here. You've got your desktop or a laptop will probably have a webcam in it and a speaker, and you can start recording these right off the bat. So what can you talk about? So it might be anything from, you've got a new team member and you want to introduce them and showcase their background. Again, like with social media, you can talk about an industry matter that you've come across and you think would be useful. You could do training videos. I know these are super popular. So adding value to those client relationships by educating them about the basics. You could even do a video explaining that you've had a great month and you've won a new client or something great has happened to you in your personal life. It may even be a video testimonial. So lots of things that you can do. They don't need to be long. And in fact, for a lot of social media, and even for if you're sending out the video or on an email or putting your website, they can be 2-3 minutes, and that's plenty. 10 minutes, great if you've got a really in-depth service that you want to explain, but even 2-3 minutes is fine. And talking for 2-3 minutes is actually relatively easy by the time you've sort of introduced yourself, who you are, you talk about the service. So if you do struggle with presenting, and I'm there with you, it's not something I particularly enjoy, but video is great because you can record it multiple times. You can edit it. If you want a mulligan and a redo, you can do that. And then when you're happy with it, you can share it. So the last couple of things just to mention, and this is really a hygiene factor, is those online directories. So I'm very sure that you've all heard of Google My Business. And so that's basically when someone searches for your business, or they're searching for maybe a bookkeeper in your area, and up will come several business listings, and then up will come your Google My Business listing. So this is really, really important. Again, think of it like another opportunity to tell people about your business. You can have reviews on there, so clients can leave reviews. You can have a star rating, your opening hours, your address. You could even have a map showing how to get there. You can have those services listed. And this is completely free and offered by Google. So totally, if you haven't done it, definitely recommend you go and do it. And if you do have it and don't have any reviews, again, don't be afraid of asking those clients who are really your best clients if they would mind leaving you a review. And to make it even easier, get your link. There's a review link in Google My Business, and you can actually just send them that link and they can click straight on it. So it just removes any admin that they have to do to sort of find your link and where to do it. Now, obviously, there's lots of other places that you can go and be listed. Obviously, Xero or MyOb or Sage would be typical ones. And you can see here on the right-hand side here, I've got that sort of where you can search as a small business owner for accounts and bookkeepers in New Zealand. Obviously, there's the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, or there may be local business listings or industry associations in your town or your city that you would want to be a part of. Now, the last thing I think to just talk about is online ads. And I've left this to last because not everyone has the time or the money or the desire to put themselves online. But I thought I would mention it just because they can be very effective, and you can actually get by with a very small investment. So a really great place to start is Google Ads. So the search I did here was for Bookkeeping Melbourne, and these are basically before any of the natural search listings appear. These are the ads that get shown. So because it's an ad that you would control, you get to basically specify what the title is, what the blurb is, all those links, pricing plans, payroll services, BAS, advanced reporting, inquire online. You get to do them all. And the nice thing is you can invest, even $5, $6 a day will get you a listing on Google Ads. The nice thing here is that people will often click on them before they click on a natural listing, just because if the text is really engaging and there's maybe only one or two of them, they will click on it. And the nice thing is also is that you'll only pay for the people who click on them. So it's a pay per click system. If you get seen by lots of people but no one clicks, you don't pay anything. If someone clicks, then you might be paying 50 cents or $1 for that person to click. And then you can obviously specify where on your website you want them to land. So you can see here, we're at the top, pricing plans, that would go to your pricing page. Payroll services would go to the page you talk about payroll services, and so on. Now, Google is great if they're searching for services that you provide, like bookkeeping services. You may also want to, if you want to go beyond that and search for people who aren't, reach people who aren't searching for your services, then you can do other ads like Facebook ads or LinkedIn or display ads on Google. So these are basically, I'm sure you've seen them, the sort of little boxes or sort of rectangles that will appear on websites as you search. And they will, they'll have your logo, they'll have a call to action, maybe have a reason to click. So the service that you offer or a testimonial from that business's client. And then they again can go back to your website. So again, lots of other things that I would do personally before I started doing online ads, and I think I've covered hopefully most of them today. But if you find yourself having sort of done everything else on this checklist, what more can I be doing, then definitely online ads is something I would consider. If you are going out to sort of look for someone to do it, because I wouldn't necessarily recommend, unless you're fairly comfortable with online advertising, doing it yourself. There's a lot of consultants or sort of little small agencies out there who can do it. Just make sure that they're not a cowboy, because there are lots of cowboys out there, but equally there are lots of brilliant ones. So just do your due diligence. And that might be that you ask them for referrals, or you look at their testimonials or their case studies. So all the things that we've been talking about in terms of someone coming to research your business. So Joe, I feel like I've been rattling through to leave us enough time for questions. I hope that was helpful. Does anyone have any questions, or did any questions come up through the session, Joe?
Nothing so far. Can you do a little quick demo of BOMA? I know you showed us a screenshot of a sample of the articles that are available. but just, yeah, let's just have a quick look at that and, you know, how easy it is to share something with the different platforms.
Sure.
If you're set up to do that. If not, we can give people links to look at.
Yeah, no, I'm set up. I'm just, my computer's a bit slow today. It feels
if,
like all the kids must be coming home from school. So, so I'm just going to share screen.
But if there are any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A.
Oh, okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Right. So this is basically BOMA. This is the dashboard that you would land on. So obviously this is our demo account. So you know, we've got lots of campaigns in here and things like that. But I suppose just a couple of things to concentrate on. So in BOMA, you can go in and create your own email or social update. So where you create the social post from scratch or the email from scratch. You can do lead forms. So that might be like you'll sign up for our newsletter or download our ebook. You know, I was talking about that before, where you basically ebook in exchange for your contact details. You can even run social media ads. So LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram. Probably the most useful thing here is just to sort of show you our content library. So this is specific, it's country specific. So I'm showing the Australian version today. And it's all basically information that you can go in and look through, and you can search by a whole range of different categories here. And then you can share it. And you can share it again on your website, or it might be on your social media blog, or it could be as an email. And so, for example, if I click into this one, you can see here that this one's from Wolters Kluwer, and we've got an image at the top, which is our suggested image, but you can obviously change it if you want to. We've got suggested social post here, and then down the bottom, we've got the suggested email. So that's one sort of version. I'll just go and see if there's another one that might be interesting as well. So this one might be interesting as well. So the reason I've chosen this one is that this one can also be delivered to your website as a blog. So if you want to actually send this to your website as a blog, again, you can customize the text, but you can actually have it in there and then send people back to it. So let's send this in a campaign. So if we choose deliver, you have the option to do just an email or just a social post. We'll choose social and email.
Charles, if you add it to your own website as a blog, is it does it look like the bookkeeper has written it themselves for their own website, or is it like coming from BOMA somehow? How does that work?
Yeah, so all the copy, all the articles in BOMA come from, or they appear as if they come from you. So it's from your email, from your social posts, it's on your website, and we don't want any credit. Like, we're in the background, we're invisible. It's all about you and you supporting your clients. Yeah. So
you're
being
don't have to, invisible agent.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to even acknowledge us anywhere on any of this that it's come from us. And that's also, you know, the fact that we're happy, as well as our partners are very happy for you to customize as much or as little of it as you want to. Mm. So you can see here, if I maybe, I'm just going to put in a couple of hashtags. I'm going to get rid of that line break. So I've made my edits. They could be larger than that, or they could be no edits at all. It's completely up to you.
And you can add in the keywords that you've chosen to focus on. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I added those two words, but again, so everything that I've highlighted is customizable. So if you wanted to add in another few sort of words in there, it's completely editable by you.
Yeah. Lucy's put a question there. Can our clients use this for their business or only for bookkeepers? I'm not sure it would be relevant for your clients unless they were also accountants and bookkeepers. It is focused on accounting and bookkeeping topics and small business topics.
Yeah.
You'd have to look at the content and make that decision, Lucy.
Yeah, we do have the odd business advisor who uses us, so that might be the closest, you that would probably be the most relevant and person to say, okay, BOMA would be good for you. As Joe said, because we're so focused on accountants and bookkeepers, that means that we can have really deep content that's going to be relevant for you to send your clients. If we were sort of relevant to lawyers and tradies and a whole range of other things, it would be more difficult to sort of be really niche. And so that's sort of why we focused. Now with your social posts, you can see here that the changes I've made have come through, and there's the social post. So this post at the moment, because you may not want this on your website, if I click on that as a user would, this would go basically to a hosted landing page. It would have your logo on it. It would have all this copy here that you can edit, and you would edit it before you send it. It would have links to your website. Now, if you had this on your website, you would choose to share it in a different way, so it went back to your website, and I'll show you that in a minute. So it's the same for all the channels. Facebook, we just copy and paste because they have issues with fake news. So that's an issue at their end, not ours. And then we'll get on to email. And obviously you might be thinking, okay, is this topic suitable for everyone? And you can see here I've got my demo list. I've also got tags. And so these are tags that you add individually or in bulk to your database. And so you would add them in a way that makes sense to your business. And what you can do with those tags is that you can then filter. So you can say, great, I want to send an email only to my clients, for example, or in fact, I want to exclude my clients because this should just go to my leads. Mm-hmm. You can also say, look, I just had a really interesting conversation or a meeting or a phone call with 1 or 2 or 3 people, and you can actually go in and choose them manually. Now, when it comes to doing the email setup, you can use previous templates that you've created if you want. But what we've also got here is different layouts using the content that you've chosen. And if I choose this one, this basically will inject the full article into your email template. And then all you have to do is customize it further if you want to. So you can see here as it loads up your logo, we've got all the information down here. At the bottom, we've got your key information there. And now we can do things like customizing it. So you might want to, well, I suggest you do, add a merge tag, and this will basically personalize it and address this email to the first name of whoever you're sending it to. Now, everything in here is editable, and I don't just mean that you can change it. In fact, if you want to delete that section, you can. If you want to add a little bit of an introduction, you can. If you want to sort of delete that section again and rewrite it, you can. It's completely up to you. And again, at the end, if you want to extend or change the last paragraph, or in fact any paragraph, you can. And obviously you want to then probably add a call to action. So the call to action might be contact us, it might be learn more. And then you can send them either to your website. So you could put your contact us page or a case study page. You could have it open an email. So send it to yourself and it would open an email in their browser. You might have clients who are always on the go. So you might want to just say, look, just contact me via phone and it will actually call you on the phone. So when you've done that, basically that's as much as you need to do, whether it's a little bit of customization or a lot. You can edit the suggested subject line, you can edit the preview, you can obviously change the default email address. Just make sure it is a real email address so people can email back. You can send yourself or a colleague a test email, and then you can schedule delivery. So this might be in the future, it might be right now. It's completely up to you as to the time and date that you want to share it. Now, one thing I will really quickly show you, I think we've just got a minute left.
Yep.
So if you had content on your own website, and so this might be content that you've created, or it might be content that you've taken from BOMA, either is fine. As long as it's on your website, you can actually go in and share a URL. So I'll just quickly show you a URL. So because it's your own link this time, you can choose a social post or share a link. BOMA is going to pull out it's going to write the text for you. It's going to pull out the image. Again, you can go in and edit that a little bit further if you want. And now it's going to customize it and format it across those different channels. So here it is across the different channels. If you did also want to do that in an email, same thing, BOMA is actually going to pull out the email, the text for you. Imagine this is one you created, an email template that you created yourself. You can see here that I've got all these different layouts that I can pull into an email. And again, it's got text that you can edit. You can edit the image, you can edit the call to action, and you can see that calls to action goes back to my website. So in this case, it would be your website. So that's just a really easy way that you can share your own content in BOMA. You can mix and match it with our content.
Right.
You can write your own.
So bookkeepers being notoriously time poor, like accountants, and having to stay on top of so much technology and compliance updates and all the rest of it. One of the big questions is, how long does it take to set up? So if somebody says, I'm going to give BOMA a go, how much time do they need to allow to get the platform set up before they can use it? Because obviously what you're showing us, it's really easy to do and very quick once you've got yourself set up. But how long does that setup time take?
Setup would probably take, to be in a position to start doing things, I would say about 15 minutes. We're obviously very happy to walk you through it. So we do have sort of instructions and videos as you go through, but if you want to us to do it with you, we can do that. I mean, basically all you need to do is connect your social channels if you want to do social, import your logo, put in your address, and links to your social pages, so that at the bottom of your email you have those links. Import a listed database, so contacts or clients or whoever you want to maybe send an email to, and then you're ready to go. So you could be doing your first campaign, whether it's just a tester to yourself, within about 20 minutes.
What about all the setting up of your templates and just getting the little things like,
true, yeah.
I
That's
want a colour that's going to sit with my website. Those sorts of small.
Yeah. So when you upload your logo to BOMA, so we'll actually pull out the colors. So this is our demo logo. You can see here we put all the colors around it, and we can then specify that I want all my buttons to be that color. Once you've done that, that button will then appear in your email as well. In terms of creating your own email templates,
don't go through the detail because we're nearly at a.
No. I was just going to say it's really you would start with an empty template, and then you would start creating what it is that you want laid out. So the colors that you want, the different sections, that maybe a disclaimer down the bottom. If you're sort of if you've used these sorts of tools before, maybe like on MailChimp or something like that, maybe you could do one first off in sort of 15-20 minutes. Again, if you're having trouble, if you just want us to hold your hand while you go through the first one, just book in a training session with us. All our training's free, and that's forever. So anytime you have a question or you want to onboard a team member, just reach out to us and we can help.
Great. Well, that was a whirlwind. What's the word? Masterclass in marketing tips. I've put the link in the chat box. We don't have time to go through everything we would normally. So, guys, you can look at the pricing. I would also say look at the resources, because you've got marketing guides, advice, all the articles that they've put there for free, which are fantastic. And really, like if you're really struggling with time and you don't want to write, or you haven't got the time to write, this can be, a really great solution. But look, Charles has given you stacks of great info as well to implement yourself. So if you're not ready for BOMA, there's still a lot of things that you can do in the short term. So I hope that's been useful for people. Marketing is just always one of those topics that seems to come up that people want help with or want to know more about. So thanks, Charles, for
My pleasure.
a great overview. And as usual, the recording will go up on the website, and I'll put links there back to BOMA, and we'll see you all next month for the March Tech Talk. Okay, thanks everybody, and I'll see you on the email, Charles.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, everyone.